Welcome. Welcome to our panel on reimagining school in rural America. We're going to get started. As we get started, my colleague Jenny has just dropped in the chat. You can rename yourself to your preferred name, your preferred pronouns, the organization that you're from. And as you're coming in, go ahead and say hi in the chat. We're so excited to see all of you today. I am going to kick us off today by talking a little bit about setting the table and talking a little bit about what we're going to be sharing today. Today, we're going to be sharing about a journey that 10 rural districts took to redesign school with Transcend in what some would call one of the most challenging times for schools and districts across the country. We're going to share what happened, begin to do some dreaming together with you all in this room about school redesign in your communities using a concrete and research-based tool. But first of all, who is Transcend? I see all these like hellos. Hello, Salt Lake City. Hello, Colorado. I see folks from Ohio, Vermont, New Mexico. Welcome, welcome. So where was I? Who is Transcend? Transcend is a national nonprofit organization who works with communities all over the country to reimagine and redesign school to be equitable and excellent with their communities. I'm joined today by some of my amazing colleagues who I'm now going to turn it over to introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. I'm Cederick Ellis. I'm the superintendent of the McComb School District. We are located in the southwest corner of Mississippi, and I have been with the McComb School District. I'm entering my 9th year, and we have been very excited to be working with Transcend over the past year to try to redesign education and redesign learning for our learners in our community. I'm just happy and thrilled to be with you all today.
All right, I'm Petu Washday. I'm Lillian Edwards. I teach kindergarten through 3rd grade reading on the Rosebud Reservation. I live on the reservation. I'm originally from St. Louis. I made my way here through Teach for America and have stayed. Spring Creek Schools in South Central South Dakota, and we partnered with Transcend last year to also reimagine learning for our rural learners. And I'm so excited to be here today with you all.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeremiah Johnson. I'm a senior here at McComb High School, where I'm also the class president and representative of my 12th grade class. And I'm so excited to be here on the panel with you this morning.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Wolff, and I am privileged to work for the Clear Creek County School District as part of a team that's reimagining and redesigning education with and on behalf of our students. I'm just thrilled to be part of the cohort, the Transcend cohort of rural schools that are redesigning education, especially because the direction we're heading in our district just deeply aligns with my educational philosophy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny O'Mara. I'm a partner with Transcend Education. Before being a partner with Transcend, I was a principal in rural northeastern North Carolina in a county called Edgecombe County. I'm coming to you today from Warrenton, North Carolina.
Hello, and I am Taina. I got the opportunity to open us up today. I am a partner at Transcend who is supporting rural communities across the country to reimagine their learning model, which is near and dear to my heart because I myself am from a rural community in Georgia. With that, I will pass it over to Andrew to set us up for what we're going to do today together.
So why are we here and what are we going to do today? What might we do and what won't we do? We are going to explore the challenges that rural communities face and the ways school leaders leverage their unique assets to address these challenges through school design. We will introduce you to and deepen your understanding of Transcend's Leaps for Equitable 21st Century Education, and hopefully learn from and brainstorm with rural school designers to reimagine your school model. Perhaps we'll generate ideas specific to how young people are experiencing your school model We may identify shifts you might make with your model, hopefully build connections with other school communities. We won't treat rural school communities as one and the same. We won't learn one particular formula or step-by-step for reimagining education in all rural communities. And we won't identify one silver bullet to address the challenges rural communities are facing.
We will be together as a community for the next probably 90 minutes. And what we want to do is that we want to just talk about some community agreements, because we will be a community over this time that we have together. One of the things that we want to do is that we want to recognize that your perspective is true, but it's partial. And we want you to say the thing. Yes, and call in, not call out. And throughout this time that we have together with you today, we want you to stay engaged. If you're willing to commit to these agreements, just drop an emoji in that chat, drop some fire in the chat, or just say yes in the chat. If at any time during this space, you no longer feel that you need, or you feel that you need to talk with someone, please notify a facilitator. And we, again, are excited to have you with us today.
Oh, I see all these yeses. Awesome. Thank you all. A little bit more table setting, and then we'll jump into the good stuff. So we talked about renaming yourself at the top of the call. If at any point you need support with Zoom, Jenny, could you just raise your hand? Jessica and Natalie also give us some love. You can private chat them and they will support you in whatever you need. We encourage video participation, and we also know if you're not able to, if you're not able to totally understand. We're going to participate in a bunch of different ways during the time we're together. We're going to do some breakout rooms to have some brainstorming and discussion. We're going to be in the Zoom chat, which you all are already in. We're going to go on and off mute together. And if it's helpful for you, closed captioning is available. My colleague Jenny is dropping how you access that in the chat right now. So with that, I'm going to move us to a little bit of storytelling. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we set out last year to reimagine school alongside 10 rural districts. They really began Transcend's rural schools design community. I'm going to play a video now, just a brief video, to give you a window into the work from last year and the work that we're continuing to do with our rural community. School is the center of most rural communities. It is a trusted place in most rural communities.
I've been here my whole life. I love this school.
My community has love in it. It really does.
Rural communities have an opportunity to innovate, in some cases far beyond what their urban counterparts might have, because there's less noise. There's more people focused on, some common themes.
I grew up in that community that I now work in and I now live in.
The gift of community is an incredible gift, to know that you're accountable to the people who are around you. I call it grocery store accountability. So I'm going to see the county commissioner in the grocery store, and I have his grandson in my system. And if I'm saying one thing but another thing is happening, that's like I'm not accountable. Like, that's grocery store accountability.
I think that I can speak for probably everybody, every organization that Transcend has worked with, that the work that they do and how they engage is liberatory.
This is your studio this week. Can we get some studio energy? Yes!
Part of our work is doing one-on-one coaching and helping them create a vision that they want. The other is coming together to share that experience collectively across the group.
We talk to, 75 or 80 people, many of them students, focus groups, as well as individual interviews, our alumni. We really were after the voices that we don't typically hear.
70% of our learners said that school was not meaningful, authentic, or relevant.
We had a significant amount of scholars that say that they could not be themselves.
You made your mission. You made some wildly compelling cases for change. Oh my gosh!
Instead of us writing the case for change, we actually gave it to our learners, and they spent all day long writing, reviewing, revising the case for change. And then on a PD day, a day they had off of school, they came in and presented to our entire staff that case for change. And it was a powerful moment.
As a student, it meant a lot for me to be a part of that process, and I thought that it was kind of a really great opportunity to leave a mark on my school after I leave.
In phase 2, we started thinking about and building out experiences that you see around the room on your incredible storyboards.
Get inspired by each other's visions. Let yourself be inspired.
We're really trying to ground the work in place-based education, that students feel that they make a difference.
As we've been going through this journey, my new why has become trying to ensure that we keep our students' identity connected to them. So really looking at indigenizing education for them, because they do come from a very small traditional community.
You are constantly an inspiration to our team by the way you embrace your culture and connect with your community.
We have one big goal for this week, and that is for you to build a pilot plan.
We have to pilot, test, refine. Transcend has allowed us to see that the work is fluid.
I'm in a studio. It's great. It's a 6-week course on history. My focus in the studio is mythology and cultural history. So it's not just the stuff that I would learn in a traditional history class. It's the stuff that I want to learn about history and English.
What I love about Transcend, that it has allowed us to really focus on what matters and what's important to us, and that is that we take in consideration our people, our community first.
There is actually a really genuine love for one another when we sit in those meetings.
So often, rural schools are forgotten about.
Transcend's focus has been the first time I've seen somebody that said rural schools matter, and we are going to do everything in our power to make sure that rural schools' voices are heard and rural schools' learners get every opportunity that learners do throughout the country.
Thank you all so much for joining us on that window into the journey. Many of you are in this room for the same reasons that the rural districts in the rural schools design community applied to be part of that cohort. You know something needs to shift in school, and you know it's something big. We at Transcend call those shifts the leaps. We have a framework that we developed through intensive community-driven research across the country, research on the science of learning and development, future trends that are shaping our world, both today and tomorrow, and that's grounded in equity. My colleague Jenny is going to put what those leaps are up on the screen, and she's also going to drop in the chat the leaps. I'm going to talk about what these leaps are, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to dig into them with the lens. These leaps really reveal how we can move from an inequitable industrial era of learning to learning that's responsive, not only to the students' needs who are right in front of us, but also to the demands of the 21st century. This means things like shifting from a narrow focus that's maybe only on academics to supporting the whole child who is sitting in front of you. Or shifting from rote activities that feel irrelevant to content that matters to our young people, that's rigorous and relevant to something beyond the walls of the school. I want you to just take a moment, get into these leaps that my colleague Jenny just dropped into the chat. We're going to play a little music for a couple minutes. And I'm going to ask you to think about what leaps or leap here do you feel like the current school community that you're either in or the most recent one, if you're not in a school community, are really making? Where are you really excelling, or have you experienced an excel if you're not currently in a school community? So again, the question is, dig into these leaps and think about where are you really kicking butt in terms of the leaps. I'll give you just a minute, and when you've got it, just drop it into chat for us. Excellent. Thank you so much. I see Tyler saying anytime, anywhere learning. I see connection and community from Natalie. Sydney, anytime, anywhere learning. Godfrey, high expectations. Excellent. Thank you so much. Keep dropping those in the chat, thinking about where you're really excelling currently. Excellent. Whole child focus. Tammy, relevance. Now, you know what the next question I'm going to ask you is. I'm going to ask you now to think about where are you currently in your current learning model, where are you seeing challenges in terms of making leaps? And you can even, I see Stephanie saying you work at the state level, think about your own learning environment if you're not currently in a school. Your own schooling, where did you feel challenges in the leaps? Where were leaps not being made in that model? And take a moment, really think about that. And when you're ready, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Again, the question is, which leap do you think your school community, either the one you're currently in and working in or one you went to, most needs to focus on? Rigorous learning. Thank you, Tammy. High expectations, Cami. Relevance. Relevance. Yes. And Sarah, I love that point, like it's not isolated, right? So sometimes there's pockets of where we see the leap being made, but maybe not consistently across all of the places within the school community. Active self-direction. So one of the ways that we support communities to redesign is by prioritizing leaps based on a bunch of learning we do, right? We say, what leaps might we prioritize in our new school model based on what we know to be true about our current school model? So in a bit, we're going to shift and you'll have time to really think about your own learning models, either the ones that you're currently working in or ones that you went to school in, and really brainstorm using these leaps. But right now I want to transition to hearing from some of the rural school communities who are here with us today to talk about how they leveraged these leaps and how they really experienced redesign this past year and where they're going with it. We're joined today by 3 communities from across the country, Spring Creek, South Dakota, McComb, Mississippi, and Clear Creek, Colorado. And again, they're going to share about their redesign journey. I'm going to pass it over to Jenny, who's going to facilitate a discussion. As you all are listening, if you have questions that come up, please feel free to drop them into the chat, and we'll try to hold some time at the end of the conversation for them to answer some of your questions. All right, Jenny.
Thanks, Taina. All right, y'all. I am so excited that we get to hear from these incredible leaders, who are thinking differently about school and what's possible in rural communities. So I'd love to start by inviting Lillian from Spring Creek, South Dakota, to share a little bit more about her community.
Hi again. The Spring Creek community is one of 21 on the Rosebud Sioux Tribe or Sichar Lakota Reservation. 100% of our students are Native Lakota and their families, and they are characterized by a fierce sense of belonging, a fierce sense of being a good relative to others in the earth. and as well as their connection to that sacred land they live on. Our school sits on one of the most beautiful parts of the reservation, and our community holds one of the highest percentages of fluent Lakota speakers on the reservation.
Awesome. Thank you, Lillian. Gosh, I just hope I get to visit y'all one day. Lillian, we saw your principal talk a little bit about indigenizing education in the video, and I know that you all decided to focus on certain leaps. You learned different leaps your community was making, where there were opportunities for growth. Can you talk about how you all observed the leaps happening and how that impacted your redesign?
No, absolutely, Jenny. As you saw in the video, Roberta is our principal and she's from here, so it's very important to her as well. The leap that guided us heavily through our journey with Transcend was that move from assimilation and marginalization to the affirmation of self and others. As many of you know, our students and their families went through the boarding school era, a lot of marginalization. School has not been a place of healing or joy or learning for Lakota students. We wanted to leverage, the rich culture that does exist in the community, like I said, the language, the land, and make school a place where that could be celebrated rather than ignored. So for some schools, this leap was focused on molding their students into affirmative, young people of others. But for us, this leap was focused on our students affirming themselves and being confident in their Native identities. So a way that we're doing that was grandmothers, uncles, aunties come in with us on Monday mornings, and we have a Tiosh Paye, which in Lakota is extended family, morning meeting together where we smudge, we offer a daily prayer, there's language being spoken, and that's one way we're really starting to indigenize education.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lillian. I've been so inspired watching y'all's journey and can't wait to see what you all do next. Cool. Let's all head down to McComb, Mississippi now. We've got Dr. Ellis, the superintendent of McComb School District, and Jeremiah, who is the senior class president at McComb High School, here with us. Jeremiah, would you get us started and just tell us a little bit about your community?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So first off, I would say as a student, being a part of my community, I would say we're a very, very loving community. Everybody in our community is very engaged. In our community, everybody's voice is very heard. It's very recognized by everybody. And I would say as a student, being a part of a loving community like that, it really translates right back into the school, because if you're a student and you're around all of your different classmates and you're all a part of that community, you're right back into the school with each other. So if you're in the same school and you're a part of that community being filled with love, it creates the school, it gives the school a positive environment, and it allows all of us to know that everybody in there is loved and their voice is heard.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. I know that when I came to visit y'all, I definitely felt that love. It is so palpable. Dr. Ellis, would you mind, is there anything else that you want to add to what Jeremiah shared about McComb?
I'll just add that during the 1960s, McComb played a crucial role in the civil rights movement because it was known as the bombing capital of the world. And now it is not known as a bombing capital of the world. It's known as the Camilla City of America, because in the spring, we have the dogwoods and the azaleas, the blood red and pale pink camellias. They done every lawn when spring comes. And once this gloomy place during the civil rights movement, now it is not a gloomy place anymore. And it is strategically located on the border of Mississippi and Louisiana, and it's surrounded by the natural beauty of scenic rivers and streams nestled in the rolling pine-covered hills in the southwest corner of Mississippi. And we are the city school, and we have 7 schools in the McComb School District.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Ellis. I know when you all were on you've been on your redesign journey for many years, and it's been really important to your community to lean into your assets. Can you also share in the ways that you've leveraged these assets to redesign school?
Yes, one way we leveraged our assets, after the COVID-19 pandemic, we realized that we had a system that was organized for a world that was really disappearing. And so we know we had to leverage our assets. And if we wanted to truly redesign our system, and our troubling thoughts were, how do we redesign or reimagine education for a fractured community that needed some deep healing because of past hurt and also because of constant gun violence that we were experiencing with our youth. And so if we wanted to be responsive and culturally responsive to this system, we knew that we had to listen to our community. And so by listening to our community, which we thought was our greatest asset, we listened to scholars, we listened to educators, and we listened to our community to see what we needed to do. And what we thought we needed to do in redesigning our community is hear from the community and not just the school system. And so we knew that gun violence had played a major problem in our community because more than 80% of the gun violence crimes were committed by current McComb School District scholars or those recent graduates. And so we made gun violence a priority. And what we did is that the leap that we wanted to focus on was that connection with the connection with community. And so what we did is that we piloted advisory at one of our junior high schools. And so our scholars could have an opportunity to have conversation regarding that violence, and we could really do some things. And so it was done specifically utilizing social emotional learning lessons and building a school-wide culture. And so as a result of this, what we did is that we now are having advisory at all of our schools, K-12. So we have it at our elementary schools, we have it at our junior high school, and we have it at our high school. Because of the pilot, we thought that we needed to fast track this so that it was in all of our schools. And what we're doing is that we're utilizing advisory using a character-based curriculum for scholars that's focused on social, emotional well-being, relationship-driven campus culture, and scholar connectedness. And we thought that that was one of the ways that we can begin to redesign our system and focus on that leap with connection in the community.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Ellis. I really love how you all are leaning into one of your community's greatest strengths to tackle one of your community's greatest challenges. Forever rooting for y'all. All right, finally, I would love to invite Andrew Wolff from Clear Creek, Colorado now to share a little bit about your school model. Andrew, can you tell us what it looks like and what the process has been like to bring it to life?
Sure, thanks, Jenny. I'll start with just a little bit about Clear Creek. Clear Creek County is in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. Approximately 75% of our county is national forest. And while we are a rural community, we are less than 50 miles from the big city of Denver, which provides some unique educational opportunities for our students. We've been a mining community for the past 100+ years. Our biggest town, Idaho Springs, is where the gold rush began. However, the big mines are scaling back operations, and we're transitioning towards a tourism and recreation based economy as our biggest economic driver. People come from around Colorado, around the US, and even from around the world to play in our backyard. Although our neighboring counties have significantly more established and built out tourism infrastructure. And while there is socioeconomic and political diversity in our community, there is relatively little ethnic and racial diversity. Finally, Clear Creek School District, we have 3 elementary schools which feed into 1 middle high school with a total student population of less than 800 students. So in partnership with our larger community, including students, teachers, parents, business, and civic leaders, we developed a learner profile that really drives our school model. We want all of our kids to have skills, knowledge, and mindsets to be leaders, to be collaborative, to be adaptable, to be critical thinkers. And our elementary schools are transitioning from a traditional model of teaching and learning towards an experiential model. We're breaking down the silos that have existed in our schools and our community, and our new model is grounded in the gifts of place, leveraging our unique natural assets, along with the dynamic community members that live in our community. And this includes redesigning the definition of classroom to include nature-based learning opportunities, engagement with the community organizations and local businesses, and all the while we are maintaining a focus on the whole child. We're piloting experiential learning in our elementary schools, specifically exploring how to do this kind of learning, again, utilizing the gift of place and the assets in our community. Just a couple of examples. 4th graders learn about Colorado history by visiting an old gold mine and mill and by learning to pan for gold. As part of an EL module on poetry and becoming writers, students will be taking a trip to study at the famous Lighthouse Youth Writers Workshop in Denver. And after learning to make their words sing at the poetry workshop, they'll bring their poems back to Clear Creek and share them with their senior community at the senior center next door to their school. Second graders learn about biodiversity of our natural environment, as well as leave no trace principles through educational hikes and snowshoe trips. So these are just a few of the many exciting and relevant learning experiences that we're building for our students.
Thank you so much. In any way that feels right to you, can you just show our panelists some love? What they shared is incredible to hear, and also the journey that they have been on and are continuing to go on is just so inspiring. So we're going to jump into breakout rooms now, and in those breakout rooms, you're going to be paired up with one or two other folks, and we're going to essentially do three things. You're going to introduce yourself quickly in about a minute, who you are, where you're calling in from, maybe your role. You're going to think about your community. And I know some of you in this room are not in a particular school, but really deeply think about where you are situated and think about how the unique challenges and assets of the place that you're in, and what ideas you have where you might start to make some shifts towards meeting all of those leaps that are on the right-hand side. My colleague Jenny is going to put these leaps and the instructions in the chat in just a moment. And you'll take some time to reflect on that silently, and then you're going to share with one another your reflections out loud, looking for connections and also celebrations. Wonderful. You'll have about 10 minutes in your breakout rooms, and don't worry, Transcend folks and the folks from our rural communities who just shared will be hopping around from room to room to support you and make sure that if you have any questions, we are answering them. And Jenny, when we're ready, excellent.
Okay, so I hope your time in your breakout rooms was full of, exciting conversation, inspiring, sometimes tough. And given what you talked about, what ideas do you have of how your school, your district, your state might start to implement the leaps and move from that left side to that right side? So if someone would like to share, one or two people come off mute and share how this has inspired you and what leap you're looking at.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wibke from Utah, and I think I have more of a question for everyone. I'm curious, and this is open to everyone, not just the presenters, but how do you know when a rural community is really ready to make that leap and where to start? I think that's something that I'm curious about and thinking about. We want these shifts to happen, but I want to also make sure that they're ready for that.
I think that is like a very prophetic question, Sarah. I'm honestly like, how do you put that? And not to call Dr. Ellis out, but with their redesign journey, like the community has been such a big part of it. And so it's, Dr. Ellis, would you say the people being ready as well as the students is a big qualifier for that change?
Yes. And what you really have to do is that you really have to take them on a journey. You have to take the community with you on a journey to really see where you're trying to go. And when you take them through that exercise and show them why redesign is so important without abandoning everything from a community and bring them along, they know that there should be change. They just don't know how to do it. And they need someone to walk them through that process, guide them through that process, and show them why their current system is outdated, obsolete, and just bring them along and guide them into the conversation and create it and develop it together, because I always say that if you develop it, when you develop it with the community, no community member can get selective amnesia on you, because it was built holistically as a group and as a team. And this is where we go. This is where we're going to go as we move forward.
Thank you so much.
So well said. And I'm seeing, Cami talking about the integrity and like respect of your community not being challenged and not viewing it with this deficit mindset. Does anyone else want to share about a leap that they're working on or thought that was really inspiring?
I'll just give a shout out to I think of rural communities as really asset-based. Some of our most, I would say that our rural communities have been those who have started some of our most prolific reforms in terms of really catching on and coming from the grassroots level in Iron County in the south of our state, where they're known for a big Shakespearean festival, and they're at the base of Bryce Canyon and Zions National Park. They really took on trauma-informed work, a lot of poverty in their county, and indigenous students who are indigenous, and really trying to build culture into schools. They were having a lot of behavior problems. So they implemented understanding trauma and what it does to learning, and really brought in wellness rooms, additional counselors, and really started on this path about 10 years ago with mental health in schools. Another one of our districts, Juab County, started down the path of personalized competency-based learning, that anywhere, anytime thinking, that getting rid of seat time, or what I call the 3 B's of bells, buses, and butt time, and really started thinking about learning differently in a rural community. So our rural communities are those that innovate. At the same time, we have those who get stuck in clinging to the past and wanting their kiddos to do just enough so that they'll stay home. And so thinking about how do you elevate the whole community? And I think Dr. Ellis was really insightful when he popped into our group. Yeah, really thinking about them as asset-based. I think that's the key.
Thank you all so much for sharing. I feel like we could have a really rich, I feel like we just got started, and we could have a really rich discussion for quite a while. I will say that one of the things that we found in the last couple of years working alongside rural communities, and being from a rural community myself, is that oftentimes rural communities are more ripe for innovation than some of their urban counterparts for lots of reasons. One being their size, that rural communities, schools are the center of the community. And so Karen Qualmbeck, the superintendent of Clear Creek, Colorado, talks about it as grocery store accountability. And it's the greatest kind of accountability there is for ensuring our young people have the best education for today and for tomorrow. So thank you all for engaging in this conversation and for being with us today. I want to share with you all just really quickly, I had some questions when I was popping into breakout rooms about how we do this work, when we do this work. And so we are currently recruiting at Transcend for our next Rural Schools Design Community, which is an opportunity for rural school communities to partner with Transcend on a journey just like the one you heard about from our rural partners today. A 10-month cohort program that engages community in reimagining school. It's completely free, and there's an application process for it. If you're interested in learning more about this, or you know rural schools, rural districts who are interested in learning more about this, my colleague Jenny is going to drop some things in the chat right now. One of the first thing is to really sign up for one of our, we call them Sparks, but it's an interactive session where rural districts and rural schools come and we sort of do design sprints together so that they learn more about what we do and we learn more about them. And they can learn more about the application process. The second link there is you can sign up for a one-on-one chat with a Transcend Rural partner specifically about the cohort 2. And if you're like, I've heard enough, I want to apply, or I know someone who should apply, you've got that last link there is the application package. But of course, even if you just jump to that, if you have questions or want to chat more, you should feel free to reach out, and there's information there on how to do that. Awesome. So I am going to now tell you that at Transcend, we love feedback. Like, we love feedback. Feedback is a gift. We use the feedback. We love, love, love it. And so Jessica is dropping in the chat a feedback survey from Aurora, and we would love your honest and open feedback so that we can get better and better as we continue to dig into this work together. If you just take a second, we'll play a little nice music and take that quick survey. I know some of you are signing off as you finish up that survey. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. And you will get what we call a swag bag, both in your email, and then also my colleague Jenny is going to drop it in the chat. It is filled with resources from today, including the video and the leaps. And we would love, as you leave today, if you would just drop one word in the chat that describes what you're leaving with today, how you're feeling as you leave this space today. And we hope to see you soon.